What's up, guys? ONLYUSEmeBLADE, Sunday Chill Commentary. I know I haven't done these in a while, and I know I've just been going through some things, and I didn't feel like I would be good enough for you to hit you with that Sunday Chill. I'm going to just kind of talk about some stuff that's been kind of happening. It's been about dreams, man. I talk about dreams a lot just because I think that sometimes life can be so surreal that it might feel like a dream. And sometimes things might feel like a nightmare. And I want to do more research on the topic of dreams. I want to do more, input on what do dreams mean. And also, for the most part, I don't really remember my dreams, but lately I've been having, one dream that I've had throughout my entire life. And I don't know if this is because my brother was kind of a speed demon when it comes to cars. He actually, when he was younger, he was in a commercial for a peanut butter company. And when he was in a commercial for the peanut butter company, he made a bunch of money from that. And my mom had him invested in stocks. And he actually invested in this pretty much unknown company called Microsoft. And while later on, when he was coming of the age where he wanted to get a car, he actually sold his stocks. He had a couple stocks that he could have sold, and he decided to keep a skateboard company. And he sold the stock to a company called about Microsoft. He basically owns shares in Microsoft. And he sold the shares in Microsoft in order to have enough money to buy a vehicle. And it was like a Honda Prelude, and he souped it up, and he probably crashed it. I don't really remember, but I remember about 10 years ago he told me they did the math, and if he would have kept his Microsoft stock, they would have been worth several $1 million. So go kind of figure. And I know this sounds weird, but when I'm in a store, I'm very hesitant to let someone go in front of me. And I know this seems really, really weird, really, really stupid, but if I'm in a situation where I'm okay, well, I'm going to let this person go in front of me or whatever, something in my brain always says, hey, don't do that, because what if you give that person your spot in line, and that's a situation where it goes, hey, you're the 1 billionth customer. You won $10,000. And I know it's so super far-fetched, but actually I think what I'm going to do is in situations like that, I'm well, if you're one of the billionth customers and you win some kind of prize, I get it, right? And that might be a good, I don't want to say icebreaker because that's really weird, but whatever. But anyways, he was always super into cars, and apparently my father, who I don't really know a whole lot about. I don't really know too much about him, okay? But apparently when he was into fast cars, and apparently he had a souped up Mazda, back when you can tune Mazdas and stuff. I think you can still tune Mazdas, I don't know. But he was into fast cars and stuff like that. And I've never been into fast cars. If you talk to anybody that knows me, my car choice is a big body Cadillac. And everyone's different, but as soon as you drive a nice 80s to 90s Cadillac, and probably the new ones obviously, but I'm not talking about these new fast CTSs. I'm talking about the sedan DeVilles, the Fleetwoods, the big body, comfortable, feels like you're sitting on a couch cars. Once I drove one of those in high school, I was okay, this is what I'm going to be driving. I'm going to be driving Cadillacs, and that's how I've always been. I've never been super into speed. But for whatever reason, and I don't know why I'm even bringing all that stuff up, but for whatever reason, I always seem to have a dream that involves me in a car, me losing control of a car, and me dying in a car accident. And I'm an extremely safe driver. I'm actually probably... I'm such a safe driver that it's probably unsafe. A lot of times my friends make fun of me, especially people that like to kind of go fast or whatever. When they ride in my car, I'm doing the speed limit. Some people say I do below the speed limit, whatever. But I just cruise. I position myself in life in such a way that I'm never in a rush to get anywhere. which is sometimes I'm late for stuff. If I'm late, then I kind of like put the speed on, but like me putting the speed on is me going the speed limit, you know? So I don't know. I continually have dreams of me dying in a car accident. Now, I'm going to tell you about, so I've been watching, this is going to pertain to what I'm talking about, right? So Breaking Bad ended, and I wanted to get a new show to kind of get into, and I finally was like, you know what? Let me give Sons of Anarchy a try. I started watching it, and I'm actually on season 4, but back in season 1, I was like, this is an excellent show. This is an amazing show, and one kind of polar thing that's in the show is that a lot of times when I watch TV shows, it has to do with people being bad or people not being good or whatever. It's a real weird take on it, because it's almost like in order to be like a writer for a TV show, you're probably like kind of a nerd, and you're probably not an outlaw for real, you know? But for whatever reason, when I'm watching Sons of Anarchy, I feel that they actually like talk to actual outlaws and talk to actual people that did shit like this for the authenticity. And so when they do gruesome, hardcore shit, it's not some made up shit. It just seems more real to me. I don't know. The show's awesome. If you guys haven't watched it, if you can go on Netflix, you can just watch it. Sons of Anarchy. It's about the MC. It's about this biker gang in Charming, California. And it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into that. But one thing that was interesting about the show is that from the very beginning, it was about Jax trying to find out about his father. And the thing is that I don't really know too much about my dad. I don't know too much about my dad. If you guys don't know, my dad died when I was 6. He used to work around a lot of electronics, and back then it wasn't, the electronics weren't magnetically shielded, and he passed away. And so I always felt like, man, why do all my friends, why does everyone around me have a father and I don't? And I just have to figure this world out without him. Now, so maybe I connected to the Sons of Anarchy just because he's trying to figure out what his father was all about. And, his father had a different viewpoint on how everything was going to be for the club. And the thing is that I feel that, living life, a lot of it's trial and error. A lot of it is trying things, and if you fail, because even if you fail, it's still a positive because you use that knowledge of experience to better yourself, to do it better than the last time. So without having my pops alive, as far as me attempting to be a man, I never got taught that. Like, I was raised by my mom, and even though my sister's younger, I was raised by her as well. I was raised with her, and I was raised by my mom. And the only other male influence in my life was my brother, but my brother was so much older that there wasn't really, and he was kind of doing his own thing, so it wasn't like I couldn't really count on him. Like, I love him, he's my brother, but I couldn't really like count on him when I was a kid. And so I don't know, I never really, as far as like I definitely know I have a stunted growth thing. That's why even though I'm 30 years old, I have like the Peter Pan syndrome thing, is because I had to learn certain things about being a man, but there's certain things about being a man that I learned in a really long roundabout way, if that makes sense. That's why I act the way I act, even though I'm 30 years old, which is crazy to me. Because I still feel like a kid. I still feel like a kid at heart, but I'm just a kid that has to make like grown-up decisions. It's almost like if you're like 18 or 20 or whatever, and it's your first summer of you living on your own. I've basically been in that summer mode for the longest, like the endless summer. So I totally get that whole endless summer reference and the, live forever as a kid, because like I still feel young, so I feel like I'm going to live forever. Now, dreams. For whatever reason, I always seem to have dreams about me dying in a vehicle. I don't know what it is. Now, one thing I've learned about dreams is that a lot of times your dreams happen really, really quickly. And I'll give you a good example. So, like, last night, I dreamt, like, I was laying in my bed with my iPad, and I watched Sons of Anarchy, right? And I'm laying there, and I'm watching the show, and I finally drift off to sleep. I find that I drift off to sleep a lot better if I have, like, a fan going, or if I have the TV going, or a show going, or whatever. And I always try to make a mental note, because I'm like, okay, I feel that mode. I know I'm going to fall asleep here any minute. So I look down, and I make, like, a little mental note, like, what the episode's called. And then when I wake up in the morning, a lot of times it's like 5 episodes ahead or whatever, because, I just let it play, and then eventually, for whatever reason, the iPad will stop, or Netflix will be like, are you still watching? And so I'm having this dream, and I'm in my car, and everything's really sluggish, and I pull into... Like, I basically, like, pull off into this, this parking lot, and it's gated. And while it's gated, I end up hitting the brakes, but the brakes don't quite work, or they're really sluggish, and I end up pushing on the gate, but I don't break it. And for whatever reason, I look down at my keys, and on my keys, there's, like, a padlock on my keys for some reason. And I'm like, that's really, really weird. So, like, I, like, walk out, and I'm not, like, drunk or anything, but I just feel sluggish as hell. And I walk up, and it's like a 7-Eleven type thing, but it's on a porch for some reason. And I walk up, and they're like, there's a bunch of state troopers, like, down the road. Like, you probably shouldn't be driving. And I was just like, I just want something to drink. Like, not even booze, I just want something to drink. Can I please come in and buy something to drink? So it lets me in. And then when I'm in there, I notice a mirror, and I look at the mirror, and my eyes are black. Like, the actual eyeball is black. Both of them. And I started thinking, wow, that's fucking crazy. So then I get something to drink, pay for it, and walk out. And then there's, like, this super bright light from, like, police, like, sheriff's vehicles. Super bright lights from sheriff's vehicles. And then I wake up. And I look down at my iPad, and it was still playing Sons of Anarchy, and I wanted to get a frame of reference on what time it was, and I realized that I had only been asleep for about 20 minutes, because I remembered, like, the marker point I was on the last episode, and I looked at the time on the next episode. Literally, it was the next episode, like, at the beginning. I did the math real quick, and I was just like, whoa, that's fucking crazy. Another dream that I had, where it involved me watching Sons of Anarchy, was I was in a vehicle, and for whatever reason I started hydroplaning, and, like, I got hit in the vehicle, so, like, for whatever reason I, like, slammed to the ground. So, like, as I'm looking up, I see the steering wheel, and I see the car, like, the lights from the street lights, passing me by, and I feel the car drifting, and I feel like it's out of control. I'm not in control of the car. And I look to my side, and for whatever reason, my iPad is on the floorboard of my car. And I wake up. And I immediately, like, the first thing I'm seeing when I wake up is I'm looking at my iPad. It's playing Sons of Anarchy. And in that episode, there was a car crash where a car was drifting. And that freaked me the fuck out. I'm thinking, okay, so what does this mean? I'm not a psychologist, but, like, there has to be something to be said about consistent dreams of me dying in a car. There has to be something, and there has to be something about when the first dream that I told you about, where when I looked in the mirror, I didn't have eyes. Like, I had eyes, but they were completely black. There's no pupils, it was just black. And it's just like, man, it's crazy. Am I too lazy to even leave a mark as far as, like, what my soul is? And I just have tons of questions, I had another dream about 2 weeks ago. And this didn't involve Sons of Anarchy, but it really, really, really tripped me out. It really made me think, and it made me kind of sad. So, and I talked about this on the Bad Kid Cast, but in case you guys missed it, and this pertains to dreams and how I perceive them, and like, it's kind of crazy that to have knowledge and not to use it is actually worse than being dumb and not having knowledge. Because like, if I have knowledge of something but I don't apply it and don't use it, then not only am I in the same position as someone that's dumb, but I'm also remorseful knowing what the fuck is wrong with me for not using that knowledge. So the dream was this. The dream, and I'm not a religious person. I'm not. I choose to not think about life after death. I just choose not to, because that scares the shit out of me. So the dream was this. I died in a car accident, of course. And I'm in heaven, and I'm like sitting on a cloud, and everything's fucking awesome. I'm like, okay, well, this is heaven. This is how things are, right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm going through the intake process. For some reason, I think heaven has an intake process, like they're backed up, and they're trying to process people as fast as they can. So we're like, we're sitting in like a cloud waiting room. So I'm sitting there, everything's cool, and this dude comes up to me, and I was like, why are you feeling some type of way, bro? Like, why are you look really mad? You're in heaven. And he was like, yeah, I'm not supposed to be here right now, though. I'm like, well, we don't get to choose when we go, man. So why are you looking at me like that? Why are you mad? Like, you're mad at me. What did I do? I've never seen you before. And he goes, you are not an organ donor. You were literally too lazy to check off that you're an organ donor. And I thought, well, that's weird. I thought I was an organ donor, and I thought that was just kind of weird. But I'm like, okay, let me listen to your story, bro. My heaven brethren. I'm like, let me listen to the story. We got time to waste. And he was just saying, I had this, I had like some liver cancer or something like that. And the only liver that would have worked because of your blood type and because of your genetic makeup would have been yours. And I was like, whoa, that's fucked up. He's like, yeah, and, it would have been nothing, but I left my family on Earth because you didn't leave me your liver. If you would have left me your liver, I would still be with my wife and my children. And even though I think it's amazing that I'm in heaven, I want to go back. I'd rather be on Earth to be with my family. So that's like some heavy shit to deal with and super awkward while you're, trying to, you're supposed to be a cool day. You're going into heaven. And this dude is just really bumming me out. And I'm just like, man, I don't know if I completed anything on Earth while I was there to leave a mark to somewhat live forever. And I feel like I did some good things and I kicked it with people and I made some people smile. But like, man, if I could do anything, I would have just changed that for you. I would have just made myself an organ donor. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I am an organ donor. That's really weird that he's saying this, but whatever. But I told him, honestly, looked him in his eyes and honestly told him, man, if there was a way to change this, I would do it. If we could turn back time, if we could pull some butterfly effects, some shared turn back time action, I would definitely go back to a simpler time. And I would change a lot of things, but just not to upset the whole flow of things. One thing I would do for you, a selfless act, is I would go back and become an organ donor. So, it kind of faded away. I'm in the DMV. And I literally, it fast forwarded, super fast forwarded to me clicking off that I'm an organ donor. So then, it kind of fast forward. I still die in a car accident. I'm in heaven. Dude fucking comes up to me again. And I'm like, dude, what's up? Like, you're welcome. And he's like, welcome for what? And I go, I'm like, why are you still mad? Like, I did what you wanted me to do for you. And he goes, yeah, but while you were on Earth, you still partied. You smoked, you drank, you kicked it. You didn't take care of yourself physically. So even though you were an organ donor, your organs that you left, your liver that you left, was trashed. It was useless. And I died again. How could you? How could you put me through that again? Now I feel fucking horrible. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm sorry that my actions, as far as me liking to party and liking to fucking, like, celebrate life, you know, and, like, have a good time and you know, get drunk and do all that stuff. I'm sorry that literally had a negative impact on you, and I've never met you on Earth. I apologize, man. And he was like, you know, I think you have an opportunity to make it right. So then I go through the whole scenario again, where it's almost like, rewind, start again, you have another shot. You have another opportunity. And I remember being at my buddy's wedding. So I'm at my buddy's wedding, and they're passing out drinks. And the first thing I think of was like, man, if I take this drink, I know that I'm going to keep on drinking, and I know that this dude won't get his liver, and the same old scenario will happen again. And the fucked up thing is that I took the drink. And so it got to this position, so now I'm back in heaven again, and the dude comes up, it's like, dude, all you had to do was not party and not drink, and then you would have given me your liver, and I could be with my wife and kids. And I said, man, I understand that that's a completely selfish thing, but even though I've been to heaven 3 times already in this dream sequence, even though I felt it was real, as I came back, I still had this mentality of, I don't know if there is a heaven. So why not have the best possible time you can while you're here? I tend to stay up extremely late and get on a really weird sleep schedule because of YouTube, because of everything. I have a weird sleep schedule regardless. And I think it's because I was reading something and it was saying that if you prolong you getting sleep, it allows you to go into this mode, kind of like a phone that hasn't been charged. If you let your phone just die, when it does recharge, you know how when you like plug your iPhone back in, it's like this mode where it's just like you're not able to check your email, you're not able to do anything because it's saying, dude, we just have to reboot, you know? And I think that every time I go to sleep, it's a reboot to try to do it better than I did it yesterday because I wasn't pleased on how I did it. If that makes sense. So now, come full circle, and every day I wake up, kind of like a memento situation, with knowledge of what I did yesterday, with knowledge of how I can do better, but also this stunted activity of how I can make it better. And it's kind of crazy. I think that's why I'm a mess. Like, I don't really have my shit together. I still have stunted activity as far as, like, being human goes. But at the same time, over the last year, I haven't been able to smoke weed like I need to. Weed's a medicine. I need it. The weed's garbage in Buffalo. And that's probably why I haven't done Sunday Chill Commentaries, because that's actually, like, the reason why I think I like weed so much is because I know that there's only so much time on this earth, and weed makes me feel better, makes me happier, and also it slows time down enough, which is all you could really ask for, is to give yourself a better perspective, a more relaxed perspective on things, not to rush life, and literally it's the only thing that'll slow it down. But I made a stupid decision to move out to Buffalo, and like I've said before, I'm actually in the process of preparing myself, like an actual planned process that needs to happen for my health, for my psychological well-being, for me to move out of Buffalo, back to Seattle, back near friends and family, for good reference points on You know, I'm always going to be me, but I need reference points in order to remind me who I am, and that allows me to be a better me. So, kind of all over the place. Kind of makes you think about different things. I don't know. ONLYUSEmeBLADE. Sunday Chill Commentary. Peace and butt grease.